So,
That's what it is.
it is what it is. Okay, so we're gonna try this. I don't know what that's saying, but that's okay. So we're live on YouTube. Yay!
Oh, yay.
And hopefully we can work this so we can be seen.
All right. Can we see my hat?
Cool,
Hey.
cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I don't know. Is that gonna work? We're gonna try. We're gonna try. Live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube. Here we are.
So welcome. We are starting up the Solauna Wellness Healing Podcast again, and we are excited to be able to bring it to YouTube today. And also, yeah, it'll be on Spotify too after all this too. Good times.
Wonderful.
There's so much little odds and ends here. Okay, so officially I'm welcoming Chris Canales to the podcast. The first one of 2024. Thankfully the month is not over and we actually made it here.
We're still in 2024.
We are.
Yes, we are.
It's been a minute. I'm gonna move that because I don't endorse them, so.
Okay. We don't get paid by them yet.
We don't get paid by them yet, no.
Yes.
So we are taking our first step into podcast today, and I'm gonna let Chris introduce himself.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
I mean, yes, there's that.
My name is Chris, and I'm the founder of A Warrior's Peace. It is a men's mental health organization. I've been doing this for about almost 2 years now. A lot of this came from my own trials and tribulations that I've gone through in life. It came from a place of just wanting to help, wanting to not have men be in that same space that I was in when I was going through my tough times. I really felt like I was alone, and I really felt like I wasn't able to speak up and say that I wasn't okay and that I needed help. So A Warrior's Peace is a non-profit initiative for men. In what we do is just to allow them to heal with a holistic approach, very spiritual led.
Awesome. And that's why we're excited to have Chris on board.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm Launa, by the way, in case you haven't seen me in a while.
Fair enough.
And yeah, we're excited to get things rolling, and I just made a big loud noise on my recording. That's okay. This is how we go live, and we,
Yeah.
flow.
It's just flow. It's all about a state of flow.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we've got your backstory a little bit, and we were going to bring forward a topic for this evening.
Sure, and what would you like to discuss?
So we were talking earlier a little bit about language and energetics, and how those flow. So how things are perceived in an energetic way instead of just maybe speaking or writing things down or other ways that normal people communicate.
That's right. Yes.
So we're bringing forward a new opportunity with tools to be able to show people another way to feel, another way to experience life, to be a little bit more prepared for situations, so that when they do arise, because they will, that we don't have to worry about, well, there's always something there, right? But we can at least figure out how to manage through it a little better than we used to.
Yep.
So, yeah. You had mentioned something earlier to me about energetics and language. So what does that mean to you? How do you feel about that?
In my journey,
Yeah.
I've discovered that there are 3 universal languages that can be spoken and felt throughout the entire world. The first is mathematics. Anywhere you go in the world, 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, and so on and so forth. And the second one is music, rhythm. Because when you hear music and you close your eyes, your body feels the rhythm, your body feels the emotions. You don't have to know the words, because the way that they sing it really just, it shows it to you. And so I love music. Music is a big part of my life. But the third universal language is actually energy. and the way that we present ourselves just physically. So even though you and I may not speak the same tongue, the same language, our bodies actually create this energy within just the space that we're in. So for example, I like to use my hands a lot. I'm very much like a hand talker, very expressive.
Italian?
No, not Italian.
That's there's a lot of cultures that do that. I'm in one too.
Yes, and I found that our body language really just shows a lot of how we're feeling. For example, like if I was not feeling very well or kind of angry, a little shut off, a good sign of that is it's just somebody just crossing their arms.
That's right.
And they're not open, they're very closed off. And the same goes if, again, we didn't speak the same language, but you saw my hands were clenched like this in a fist, you would think that we're ready to go.
Uh-oh.
Yes, you never want to be the second person to know that you're in a fight, right?
That's right. Exactly.
So like this really shows just kind of like aggression. And so the way that I like to use my hands is very open. I like to show that I'm not carrying anything, there's no hidden secrets or anything like that. It's just energy, and I find that this way is the best way to receive the energy that we are exchanging in our connection.
Very
so
much.
The third universal language is energy, and it's something that I didn't know for the longest time in my life, up until about 2 years ago when I started this, is when I started to finally understand that it's not so much about speaking, it's just about being present and showing that you care. I mean, looking at somebody in the eye, for example, is huge for connection.
And a lot of people can't do that.
And they can't do that.
They're just like, nope.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to look away, it's awkward.
Yeah. It's just because they're just not used to it. Not comfortable for whatever reason. And that's okay. But it's the way that you show up and the way that you present yourself, because with energy comes a frequency. And when we are in a certain frequency, then we can start to actually vibrate at a higher level. So like you and I think we're pretty good on the same frequencies. I think you might be a little more tuned to being able to connect more with spirits.
Different experiences.
Different experiences. Where for me, it's more just like a clairsentience. Like I have that energy gift between people, and not just people, but things like nature, surroundings, animals, big time. So it's been really, really amazing.
I bet.
What sort of things do you find with energy work?
Oh, that's a loaded question. With me, I find that there's either people who are open or they're not, and it's building trust in that energetic field too, for them to emit a little bit wider and allow you in. And so if they're not ready, then there's nothing we can do to help, right? So most of our sessions are essentially holding a container of space so that people can kind of meet us in a frequency of healing. And when they're ready to work on themselves, we're there to help them through that. So essentially, healers aren't really healers, we're holding space for people. So it's not, I don't heal anybody, by the way. They heal themselves.
That's right. We are not healers.
No.
We are simply just guides.
Yeah. And one of my lovelies in my life, Hillary, she brought up something that was totally amazing. And I'm like, you know what? This makes more sense for me. I am a frequency facilitator. I'm like, that makes sense to me. I sing frequency. I use my hands with frequency. And my whole life is frequency. So that's how I work with energy. It's like, you're talking about the clair, so your clairsentience and feeling things and all those things that come through. And so for me, I get a lot of tingles when I know something's true. So I get like total goosebumps when I'm like speaking something to someone and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm getting. This is how I feel. Take it or leave it. But when I feel that and it's flowing, my whole body tingles.
Yes.
And it's really powerful because that's when you learn to trust that inner knowing. And you're just like, oh, I get it. That makes sense. And it always flows.
Yes.
You know, when it doesn't flow, then you know, okay, let's second guess this one. Let's check in and see if it's actually what we want.
That's right. And it's following your intuition.
That's right.
Following that feeling. It'll never lead you astray.
No.
No.
Sometimes we second guess ourselves on that.
Yes.
And then we're hooped.
Well, that's where I come in. because the second guessing is the ego.
Yes.
And it's where the ego comes into play, and it tells you a different direction that is a safer, more comfortable direction, which isn't always the best for you.
Yeah. And I don't know about always more comfortable direction, because sometimes we have to work through fear and get over that so that we can go the right direction. So there's a lot of work to do sometimes. It's not just, hey, that's the easy road. Nay.
No, the easy road isn't always the best for you.
No.
And that's where we have to challenge our ego and challenge those the social conditioning that we've had.
That's right.
Since our childhood, and just how we kind of operate in our everyday lives, in our reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Huge.
there's so many facets to our world that make who we are, and so rewiring that is like messy, kind of like this computer setup I got going on here. It's like, oh boy, did I hook it up right? You know, it's almost like that, because trying to tell someone you do energy work, they think it's woo-woo crazy, but it's actually scientific. And so that to me is like, well, you can listen to a radio, you can be on your phone, and you trust that works, but you don't see the frequencies, you don't see the energy.
Nope.
But it's really just something that people don't even realize, and it's because it's in there every day.
Yeah.
So incorporating some new tools that bring in that frequency will make all the difference, and they just don't know. So that's our goal, is to try and help people by showing them an example.
Yes. Yeah.
Being an example.
Embodying what it means to be just living with like spirit-led.
That's right. Yeah. So, you know, we're conditioned to live a certain way, talk a certain way, be a certain way, and it's like reinventing yourself every day.
Every day.
Because, you know, we're not those things.
No, we're not. And every day is a new day.
It is.
And I mean, when we're stuck in the past, it's pretty tough to live in the present moment. And I really struggled with that for a long time. Lots of anxiety. And so I mean, nowadays I'm pretty happy, I'm pretty content, and 2024 has actually been the longest year of my life because I've been present every single minute of every single day.
Wow.
And it's been truly life-changing. So it's been truly a blessing, and even just to come into the Solauna Wellness family and just kind of just go my way a little bit, and it's been awesome, very well received, and I'm so excited to see what 2025 is going to hold, because it's going to be a massive, massive year for the Solauna Wellness family.
I think so too. I'm excited to see, as much as it kind of can be scary at times, of, oh wow, we're going into uncharted waters here, and really see what that brings us like. It's so exciting.
Yes.
Because I feel it coming. I don't know what it looks like yet. That's okay. There's so much.
This is part of the journey. It's just enjoying everyday life and just letting everything unfold.
That's right.
And just watching it. Like, it's so beautiful, just watching everything unfold in your life when you are at this frequency and you just kind of go about your everyday life. It's gorgeous.
It is. Yeah. And I was actually reminded of that today, and I'm going to turn this a little bit more towards you, because you've got a lot more quieter voice than I do right now.
Oh, well, I don't have such a beautiful voice like yourself.
Oh, stop.
Okay.
But today, I was in Calgary, and I was thinking, man, this is where I used to be every single day. And I used to take transit to go downtown Calgary, and it used to be panic and anxiety, and I went down the same road I used to take with that stupid bus. And I was like, wow, how much my life has changed since then. I was just so grateful.
Yeah.
You know, even though I was in rush hours getting back here, I was like, wow, I don't have to do this every day. I don't have to endure. I'm choosing joy every day. I'm not living that life anymore. And it feels so good. I was like, if this was all it was, I'd be great. You know, that one little thing.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I actually feel like my whole world has changed for the better so much that I don't even recognize that old life at all.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Like, that's amazing.
It is.
What a step.
Right?
And to come from your background to this spiritual belly woo-woo stuff, as you said. Like,
Right.
it's such a change, but it,
Yeah.
I mean, just look at you. Like, you have such a
Yeah.
glow about you.
It's the lights. No, I'm just
maybe,
kidding.
maybe.
Yeah, I get that a lot actually. It's funny because the more I work with spirit, the younger I look. It's cool. Energy does that.
Energy does do that.
So,
Actually, and like, I could even say myself for an example too. I used to weigh almost 200 pounds and like really puffy face, just
okay.
everything. And no matter how much I went to the gym and worked out and ate different things, nothing ever worked. But until I started to heal and really transition into this new lifestyle,
Yeah.
everything just started to like really get better. It was
Awesome.
unbelievable, and my face changed and just looked younger.
Mhm.
I look younger now than I did 10 years ago. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I would love to show you a picture
Yes.
one of these days
Yes.
and show you what I'm talking about. Because there are people that I have not seen in 5-10 years, and they don't even recognize me. And as soon as I say, it's like, hey, like, it's Chris,
Hello.
Canales, they're like, oh my goodness. And so
Yes.
it's like, yeah, okay, I guess that's such a huge change, but
Mhm.
I don't see it.
Right.
I just be
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, I don't know if it's a female thing or whatever, but I've carried a security blanket around with me my entire adulthood. And so that's one of my healing points that I'm still working on, because I'm clearly still in survival mode in a lot of aspects of my life. And so that's one of those things that's gonna just come when it comes.
Yep.
And I'll get there when I get there, and I've decided I don't need to be guilty about it. I don't need to feel bad about it, and I can just be myself now. I used to be self-conscious and all these things, and I just don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care about feeling that way about myself anymore.
Sometimes we are our own hardest critic.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's pretty sad
Yeah.
sometimes with the way that we speak about ourselves.
That's right.
Like, we would never speak to anybody else that way.
Mhm.
We would never speak to a child that way, but yet we sometimes hold that for ourselves.
Mhm.
And that's not okay. And so I love that you have like changed it, and you've changed that mindset. It's beautiful and gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that for
Our
you.
lives are so much more important than we realize. And I
Mhm.
think, you know, I read something, I think it was today or yesterday, it's been a blur, but it's more like people don't go through midlife crisis, they go through an awakening. There's not just, it takes you till your 30s or 40s to figure out, oh my goodness, all this stuff that I've learned is not actually me. And then you gotta reinvent yourself, and like, oh, so much work.
It is catastrophic when you are sitting there with all the pieces of your life and you say, none of this is what I wanted. Why did I end up like this? Like, where did all of this come from? And it's really just looking at your life and seeing what was ego led
Yeah.
and what was actual intuition led. What was your authenticity versus what was society's viewpoint on what you should be or shouldn't be. And it's a pretty sad realization when you get to that point.
Yeah.
But it's reprogramming those neural pathways and all that conditioning that we've been under. So
Yes.
it's a hard road, but it starts with one thought.
Yes, it does.
One thought at a time. And
Yeah.
being kind to yourself is probably the first step. And actually like loving yourself for who you are. Like that's yeah, it's just the only way to go about it. I can't see any other way. Like now, sometimes when I get a little bit negative with myself, I immediately stop. I'm like, whoa, like, where did that come from? Like, no. That is not the way we go about our day. That is not the way we go about our business, because we know where that leads.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back to that.
That's right.
So I will do anything and everything to keep moving forward in this positive light.
And on that point, I think that's really valid for a lot of things and a lot of situations, is that when we're going through life, I've noticed for myself, I used to go down and be down for a very long time, like weeks. You know, something happened. I lost a lot of people in my life just since 2018. And so for me, it was a really, really dark place. And now I had something also not so nice happen yesterday. However, I would be at home depressed before. Now I'm back again. I bounce back way faster than I used to. It's not that I don't care. It's that I've learned to give myself some grace and know there's nothing I can do to control anything. And just being present and bringing joy in that frequency shifts everything in a matter of seconds.
Yep.
And so instead of days and days and days, it's maybe an hour or two or minutes, depending on what it is.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to stay in that icky place anymore.
No.
So that's really, really cool.
But the beautiful thing about having the human experience is that you are allowed to feel that way. You are allowed to feel sad. You are allowed to be a little stressed out. You're allowed to be anxious.
Yes.
The problem is that when we continue those negative feedback cycles that are constantly going through our mind with that inner critic and the self-sabotage that comes with it, those cycles can take days and weeks to get out of.
Yeah.
But when you continuously do the work and heal and use those tools that we talk about and kind of just get back to that space and that frequency, it's like this now.
It is.
You take that half hour, you cry it out, you're sad, you punch it out, you rage it out, whatever you need to do, you get it out and you feel it. That's the key in all of this, is to feel that, whatever that is, that emotion, and let it run its course.
That's right.
Because when we bottle things up, well, now we're starting to turn into a ticking time bomb.
That's right.
Because we just do this and we just keep bottling everything up, and if we don't ever let anything go,
I know.
oh boy.
Yep.
Right? That was this guy right here. That was this guy.
This girl over
Oh,
here.
you too. Okay. Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It's funny how all of us have a similar story, but we don't realize when we think we're alone, right?
100%.
And so when you start talking about these things, and that's why we're here, it's just being able to share and know, you know what, we're not alone. There's so many synchronicities with every single person, every spark, every divine being. We all came here to experience a similar thing and just grow from that. And it's like, that's why community is so important. We're not meant to do all this alone.
We're not.
And it's like, you can be the best at whatever you do, but if you're doing it alone, it's pretty lonely. You know, there's never a time where I thought, oh yeah, I just want to be by myself on an island in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there was that vague time, like a little sliver there once upon a time. But that was when I was in a bad headspace. I just wanted to be away from everybody and everything and just live by myself. But what good is that going to do? You can't help anyone when you do that. You can't even help yourself because you're just, you know, stuck.
If you go out into the wilderness, let's call it, and you go alone, and if you don't bring the right tools, it can be a very, very scary place. Because that's when all of the thoughts start to come back, and all of those the traumas that we've endured in our life, that's when they come up. And without that support system, without that community, that's where addictions are actually born. I mean, that's where really my addiction started. When it came to like my dependence on marijuana, just to go through life, or any time that I wasn't feeling my best or anything like that, I would just escape. That's what I would try to do, and it started when I was alone. Because if I had somebody that was with me and said, hey Chris, that's actually like, that's okay, it has its place, no worries, but every single day so that you can feel better and numb yourself, that's not okay. Because when you do have the right tools, when you do go out into the wilderness and you do that little journey on your own, it's so important. Because you really see who you are, and you really see how everything kind of just started and how everything has gone through life. It's so important. I know for me in my journey, that was crucial. I needed to be alone. I wasn't lonely, but I needed to be alone so that I could figure it out. I have so many things I could just talk about, but I had codependency issues. And I didn't really know how to be independent. I didn't really know how to be by myself. I always relied on others. And the problem with that is that now I rely on others to be happy or sad. And so I didn't really know how to do that by myself. So for me, that was such an important part of my journey.
For sure. And I guess there's always moderation, right? Like, there's people who are secluded, hermits, don't ever want to people. And then there's people who have to be around people all the time in order to function.
Yes.
And so finding that place in the middle where you're first love is yourself, not in a vain way,
Nope.
but bringing yourself to a place where it doesn't need anybody to make you happy, but everything around you lifts you up. And you do the same for those around you. And so that's like the most powerful part of anything else, is like when we're giving all the time, we're really just taking away from our own happiness. We're meant to be filled up first before we can help anyone else. It's like the life mask on a plane, like they say, right? And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of people I've come across in the last while. It's all about, they're always give because they don't want to look in the mirror and say, hey, you could use some of that. They have all these beautiful tools that they tell everyone else, but they don't put them in their own toolbox. They give them all away, and then they're left with the dirt that was on them.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, there's so much that they could have helped themselves with. And again, we can't do it for them.
Nope.
And that's the hardest thing. So the biggest part about, see, and the word ego in your world is different than how I'm going to say this. So it's when we have that ego of we're better than others. And we think, oh, well, you know, I'm getting through all these things and I'm the best at this and that. You're taking away from others as well, because you're in an unhealthy, toxic space.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You're humble, and you can be an example and grow, is the most beautiful thing that I see in people. Because they're not out there to make a buck. They're not out there to be better than someone else. They're just being better as themselves.
Yeah.
And that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's like we've gone through this whole sister wounds thing in the last little while, and talking about, you know, how many people in our lives have really damaged that trust that we had in others, and the egos that prevailed and pushed us out of their lives, you know, because they wanted to make us feel less than. And it's like, that's not okay anymore.
No.
Not okay anymore. And so it's taken a long time to just let people go, but it's like a death. And again, you do death of the ego, so hello.
Hello.
Chime. But it really is so impactful when you think about like relationships and why they're in your life, and it's the reason, the season, or a lifetime, right? And why were they there? What lessons can you learn? It's not all about, wow, they hurt me so bad. What did I learn? What was in the mirror that struck me so bad that it caused that reaction in the first place? So there's a lot of growth everywhere you turn.
Oh yeah.
It's never a wasted experience. There's always a lesson in everything.
There is, in every single relationship that we have. It is a direct reflection of of how we feel about ourselves. Because you look at certain people, and I always use myself as an example. It's I ended up with partners that were very much in the same trauma frequency as I was in, and it was a direct reflection of everything. So a relationship really mirrors back to you what you need to work on for yourself. So like the jealousy, the envy, the anger, the mistrust, the constant reassurance that you need from your partner that you're number one. I mean, those are all things that reflect back to you of what you need to work on for yourself.
That's right.
Yeah. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, it's like if relationships aren't complimenting you, they're dragging you down, essentially.
Yeah.
Because we don't need anyone to fill us up. We need to be our own fill up.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's the tough one. Our society is all about, finding your other half, you know? But it's not really that. That's totally missed the mark.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it causes so much codependency.
It does. I call them trauma bonds.
Trauma bond.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just two people that have certain love languages that need to be met, and with a trauma bond and the right recipes, it's like it makes an amazing relationship. Very like charismatic, just like lots of love and passion. But then as time progresses on, and then you get to see like actual life kind of prevail itself, and you get to see how they are in certain situations, you start to react, and you start to feel those insecurity pieces of what you're missing. So
That's right.
yeah, so huge. So I personally believe that everybody should be as whole as possible in their own authenticity.
Yep.
And then their soul partner, their soul tribe, or whatever it is that is for you, then they will appear.
Yeah.
But you have to get to that stage first.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're just going to constantly be learning those karmic cycles, those karmic lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I feel like some people think, well, you know, if I don't learn to do something and someone else does it for me all the time, that's not good either. You can learn everything. How would I say this? It's good to know how to do everything yourself. That doesn't mean you have to. You know what I mean? Like how to change a flat tire or an oil or you know, how to fix something at home or whatever. Those are things that are expected that the other partner will do, so you just don't learn them. There's nothing saying you can't learn all those things, but also knowing that you can ask for help too. And it's okay.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do everything yourself.
No, no. I mean,
so
that's also a trauma response too, the hyper independence.
Yeah.
I can do everything myself. I don't need anybody.
that's right.
Yeah, like we get it.
Yeah.
But even just being able to receive help
Yes.
is very tough for some.
It is. It can be for sure.
Especially us hombres, us men.
Yes.
Very hard to ask for directions.
Yes. You know what? That actually came up in our conversation today. I was out with some ladies and we're just like, women are the ones who have the navigation systems energetically, and bringing back that connection and get rid of the phones and the GPSs and start using these gifts, this intuition, and that men don't like to ask for directions. Legit. And I'm like, yeah, that's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. I don't know why it's a thing, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes fall into that as well. I know in my last trip, I pulled the man card a bit, and I was like, wait a second. No, it's okay. Like, I need help. Hey, do you mind giving me a hand here?
Yes.
Yeah. And it just made the time go so much better because, I wasn't losing my marbles because I didn't know where I was going.
We're just enjoying wherever you end up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just random.
Yep.
I'll give them sometimes.
Sometimes those are the best stories.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some of the things you're meant to cross the paths that you went to, and it's all uphill and downhill from there. Yes. Now we do have a few minutes left here. So what else would you like to talk about? Maybe share what you do in our studio here and abroad and all over the places.
Abroad, okay.
Like all the things. Share so people know what you do and how they can do that.
So first off, I run the Death of the Ego workshop. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. And for me, Death of the Ego comes from, again, my own personal experience of just not being able to express how I'm feeling and kind of carrying that throughout my life and not being able to ask for help, not being able to really just look at myself in the mirror, without any filter, without any mask, and just look at myself in the mirror and just say like, who am I? And how did I get here? I think that's the biggest one. And so for Death of the Ego, what we do is that somebody just comes in and we talk about life and everything. And so we kind of just paint the picture for them, very black and white. Like, I don't like to beat around the bush. It's very just straight up, like we can call it man talk, man to man. It's very straight up, and it's like, this is a trauma response.
Okay.
What you're saying is a trauma response. What you're doing is a trauma response. Having that drink every single night after work that is a trauma response, because that is something that you are now relying on to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is that? So the death of the ego is always like the why, the why, the why. So the one question I love to ask my clients, and I'll ask you right here live on YouTube, and it's what's one thing that you know you're doing wrong, but you do it anyway?
I would have to say my eating habits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know better.
Yeah. But that's okay.
But I do it anyway.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just the human experience
It
again.
is.
And it's being okay with that and having grace for yourself that every single day you're trying to get better.
That's right.
And that's really just how we do it. I mean, for me, even to this day, even though I run Death of the Ego, I still, have these moments, right?
What?
I am human. And,
Who knew?
And for me, it's not believing in myself. It's not believing in myself that I am worthy and that I am enough to carry this flag for men and say, like, let's do this. Like, let's do this together. Let's unify under one banner. I don't care what that banner looks like. I don't care if it's a warrior's piece or it's anything else. It's collaboration over competition, because there's such a need for that unity for men. But the thing that I'm continuing to do wrong is that I continue to self-sabotage and say that I'm not educated. I don't have the experience of going to school or anything like that. But then on the other hand, I tell myself, I'm like, you have so much life experience, and that alone is enough. And
you as yourself
I
is
know.
enough.
I just realized. See, I said that, and I said that here live on YouTube.
Yeah.
I just caught myself saying that.
did.
And thank you for correcting
You're
me.
welcome.
Because I am enough.
You are enough, just
I
as
am
you are.
worthy, and I am loved.
Yes.
So that's something that I deal with every day, and so I just continue doing the work, and I know I'm getting better, because probably a year and a half ago I probably wouldn't be here having a conversation with you live on YouTube about feelings.
Feelings.
Yes.
Oh no.
Right? So that's a little bit about Death of the Ego, and what we also do is an inner child workshop. So after we take down the ego and the facade of how life we think is, instead of just starting at the top of where we are at right now in our life, we go back to the start. We go back to our childhood, because a lot of the social conditioning that we've had and a lot of that trauma-based ego that we operate out of comes from our childhood. It comes from the environment that we grew up in, the circumstances that surrounded us, and the caregivers and their mental health. Like, we want to talk like mental health for all. Like, how about our parents and the things that they had to go through in order to survive? It was a much different time back then. I mean, their way of displaying love, and for me, was food, water, shelter, security, education, safety, like all of those things, those like main things that I think you and I and I think a lot of people in this country take for granted.
Absolutely.
Like I come from an immigrant family from Chile, and so my mom and dad immigrated here when they were 19, 20 years old, and they left a war-torn country. And so coming here to this country, like, they don't know. They don't have the mental capacity to talk about feelings,
Right.
to open up and say, hey, sport, how you doing? Do you need a hug? Do you need some positive reinforcement? It's no.
Yeah,
It's right. It's positive reinforcement. No, I never got beat. I never got beat.
Lots of people have.
But lots of people have. But it's those things, and it's understanding that.
Yeah.
And so when you go back to your childhood and you find that safety, those words that you needed as a child, and you become the hero.
That's right.
You become the hero to rescue that child. Because I think all of us at one point in our childhood would have loved to have had someone to come and say, hey, Chris, I got you. It's okay. No, cry it out. Let me hug you. Whatever it is. And for me, it was, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. Those are the 3 affirmations that I was missing as a child.
Yeah, and everybody has a circumstance that's so similar again. To no one's ever going to know what you personally went through, but they're always going to resonate with something we have to say. because everybody has pain, everybody's been hurt, everybody's been bullied, everybody's had something that they can really relate to.
Yeah.
And by sharing those things, it's so important because again, it shows them they're not alone in this. There is a way to help with that. And even just, you know, giving ourselves an opportunity to heal generational trauma. This is what this life's about, legit.
Yep.
Like that's what we're here for. Our grandparents, our great grandparents, the future people in our lives, they need us right now. This is why we're here.
It's so
important.
It's about healing yourself first, so that you can heal your ancestral line, which in turn heals the future generations of your lineage. And if you don't heal, you are going to repeat the same cycles, and that's going to spill over to your children and their children and their children until who knows what and where it ends.
That's right.
But that's why I think you and I were just like, I have such a connection with you because we are trauma cycle breakers. We have gone through the shit. And I don't know if I can swear on here, but I'm going to swear.
Sure. Beep. No,
but,
just kidding.
But we have gone through it, but we've stopped and we've said, hey, that's not okay. Like that is like, no, we cannot keep doing this.
That's right.
Because we feel. We feel. And a lot of trauma cycle breakers are known as the black sheeps of the family, are the ones are the outcasts, the one that don't quite fit in. And that's the reason. It's because you are meant to break the cycle. You are meant to break that. And if you feel like this resonates with you, this is the place to be. This is the place in order to get the tools, the understanding, the love, and the support to be able to do that. And like one of the pillars of a warrior's peace is family. And when I talk family, I'm not talking about the ones that we are born into, because everybody is born into it, a family, and it's not always the best case scenario for them. And you know, things happen. It is what it is. But when we talk about family, we talk about community, we talk about a tribe, we talk about loving and supporting each other and praising each other without any sort of jealousy, any sort of envy or judgment, no shame, no ridicule. Because those are the people that you need to surround yourself with. It's tuning into that frequency. But the only way to find those people is to change your frequency. It's to get to that level.
And I want to mention something before I forget too. There's a lot of people that feel, well, my trauma wasn't that bad. I'm fine. You know, and I feel like I need to bring that up. So somebody here listening, I don't know if it's you. Hi, love you, whoever you are. I will go check those after. But we've all gotten this place where my life's not so bad. I didn't grow up in some place in Colombia that was terrible and war-torn. I grew up here in Canada. But you know what? Some people may find a paper cut to be the most traumatic thing they've ever experienced in their life. And I feel like some people don't feel that they can acknowledge that they had something.
You're right.
It made them feel awful.
You're right.
And that's okay.
Yep.
And they're allowed to feel that.
Yep.
So I feel like that's just really important to bring into all of what we do, is that it doesn't matter what you've been through or not, there's always going to be something that you can bring.
Yes.
To be part of something and create better in yourself. Yep. No matter where you've been.
The way our body reacts to trauma, it doesn't matter the kind of trauma that you were in. Your body reacted a certain way to a certain situation, so it feels that.
That's right.
So it holds it, and then it starts to maneuver its way into your everyday life energetically. And so I'm happy that you brought that up, because you're right. Not
it's
everybody.
Like death by 1,000 knives. No, but really, it's like something that I've felt was really powerful in the past, of people just coming to me, well, my life doesn't suck. I had the perfect upbringing. What's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy? What's wrong with me? So there's nothing wrong with you. There's just a matter of finding that girl or that boy inside and really connecting again and acknowledging. Yep. Those feelings are valid.
Yes, absolutely. And it's and I remember looking in the mirror one day and saying, like, I can't swear again. And it was, what the fuck is wrong with me? why do I have such like negative, sick thoughts? Like, what is wrong with me? And I always ended up at a wall. I always ended up at a wall because I just couldn't figure it out. But as soon as I changed the question and I changed the perspective to what happened to me, what happened to me to be a people pleaser, what happened to me to be a codependent person, what happened to me so that I was such a nice guy and people walked all over me, what happened to me? And then it's when you do the work and you do the trauma work and you start to peel away the layers, that's when you find it. And you're like, oh.
Yep.
And it's just like ding, light bulb, and then tears.
Right?
And you're just like, oh my God, let it go. But it's so beautiful that once you find that event, that piece that has just been kind of like making its writing your story for you. And that's why I say like the ego is in charge of that. It's writing your story for you instead of you just living your life.
Right.
And that's where it comes from. It usually comes from your childhood.
Yeah, it's conditioning. It's predetermined. This is how it should go. So this is how it's going to go. And if you believe that, it will. It's what you believe. Your thoughts and words create every second.
Absolutely.
And it's like, wow, if you just change your thoughts, imagine what life could be. Right? Look where we are now.
Yeah.
You choose what you want for yourself. So we can't give ourselves a pity party.
Nope.
We've gotten ourselves here. This is us doing choices every day.
Yeah.
And here we are. And so that we can change things now. There's no stopping what happened. No.
Nope.
But we don't live there anymore. We live in the now.
It's
in this present moment.
It's acknowledging that you're not okay.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging that these things have happened to you in your life. It's acknowledging that, you know, maybe you're doing certain things in certain patterns a certain way that are not quite the best for you.
Yeah.
And then once you acknowledge that, it turns to the acceptance piece. And you need to accept that the decisions that you've made up to this point and how you've lived your life may not have been the best for you and for everyone around you and your family, whoever. And it's accepting that. And then once you accept that, we move into the forgiveness stage. And it's forgiving yourself for carrying these burdens for so long, and forgiving yourself for acting a certain way, reacting a certain way, and just kind of like doing that part. But it's also important to forgive those that hurt you.
Yeah.
It's to forgive them, because when we understand what trauma does to an individual, the forgiveness piece is easy from there. For me, it was easy. Once I understood why people did certain things because of their generational trauma, their cultural, their childhood, whatever it was just easy to forgive them. Now, did I have to say it to their face? No, I don't have to say it to your face. But I said it to myself, and I found that peace. And once I found that, I was like, okay, now what? And it was heal your inner child.
Yep.
Because really, anytime that we get hurt, it's that little boy or girl that's inside of us that's been hurt before, and so it's just repeating that. So you have to do things that would really just make your inner child just have fun. Like the way that I kind of live my life now, it's I let my little inner child just kind of run the show. And I'm the parent sometimes. I mean, I should be the parent more and more. But just the way that I kind of operate my everyday life. Yeah. And so when you heal that inner child and you just play, play, whatever it is, like, that's the way to heal.
That is.
And
that's the way to reconnect too.
And reconnect to yourself.
Your imagination is your intuition.
Oh.
So when you grab that fun and creativity and imagination and just go wild with that, that's connecting to source. It's fantastic. So dancing in your living room.
Where were you 2 years ago?
Here? Well, not here yet, but yes, I've been around.
Yep.
You know what? We cross paths when we're supposed to. That's for sure. But there's so many things that we have really experienced in our lives. And again, not to negate them, because there's so much life experience. You don't have to be from Harvard. You don't have to be from any special place to be able to help people. You can be you. And if someone's gone through something or they're going through something and you've already been there, you can help them.
Yes.
Because you've gotten to the other side.
Yes. And then just one more to add for a Warrior's Peace is that every Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. here at Solauna Wellness, we have a men's support circle.
That's right.
Sorry, men's support group that we call the Circle of Courage.
Yes.
And we've done it for a little bit now, and I've really found that a lot of men, we have very similar stories. We have very similar upbringings and how we felt.
That's right.
Now, it may not be exactly the same, but like you said earlier, there are pieces that we can take, but the path to healing is the same.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter where you've come from or what you've endured, the path to healing is the same. And that's where it's acknowledging, accepting, forgiving, and healing your inner child.
And being heard and acknowledged and not judged.
Yeah, in a safe environment.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one thing that I struggled a lot with, was the shame. The shame for feeling certain ways because it wasn't manly. And it destroyed me.
Yeah.
It slowly just destroyed me because I wasn't able to speak my truth.
Yeah.
I felt so much shame. So it's so important that when you come to the Circle of Courage, you know that there's no shame, no judgment, no ridicule, and it's a sanctuary.
It is.
A sanctuary for men in this amazing, beautiful space. Like, I love this space.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is really magical here, I find. And I think it's really beautiful that we have a complement of a women's circle that we just started last night.
I saw that.
It's official. And it's so amazing.
Bravo.
Like, I can't wait for us to merge them, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah. So we work on women's stuff, men's stuff, and then we work on that
I love
together.
I love that.
It's going to be so amazing.
Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
We are.
And we have to help each other.
Yes.
We have to hold space for each other.
Yes.
So
we have
that,
to learn
so
to
that
communicate.
when the man in your life actually comes to you and he says, honey, I actually, I feel this.
You're like, what?
Yeah. And so it's like, what?
Get ready, ladies.
Yeah, get ready. You're gonna have some,
It's happening.
but really good conversations. I've really connected with the partners that I have had, and even just friends, just by opening up a little bit, and then them creating that space of safety.
Yeah.
Bleh, everything just comes out, and then I feel 10 times better by just letting it go. Whether we solved the issue or we didn't, by just speaking.
Yeah.
And letting that energy just flow. Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
And,
it's so powerful.
Yes.
And yeah, being able to just be in a space that welcomes you to just be yourself. You don't have to put on any show. You gotta just be yourself. And it's freeing.
And where can you find that?
It's hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole reason we created this hub is because we didn't have a home that felt like home. So we created our own. And it's been growing ever since, and it feels really good.
And if you build it,
They will come.
they will come.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's why we're all here right now as a family.
And it's only going to get bigger and better, people. It's coming.
It's
We're working
here.
on it.
It's already here.
It's
The
already
shift has
here.
started.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing is you can find us in Airdrie, Alberta, Canada, in case wherever you're listening in from. And our website is solaunawellness.com. So I'll be putting some comments in here for you to go and look at later if you come here on the replay. And we'll have some links for Mr. Chris as well as all of our team. Everyone that you can think of is on the homepage of our website. So everyone that we've got rolling in our little family right now is really ready to help you on your journey. So there's something for everybody. We have groups, we have classes, we have dances, we have energy work, sound healing, so many things to offer. And it's kind of overwhelming at times. So if you don't know what you need, just reach out. We'll help you.
And breath work.
Breath work.
Huge.
Yep, so exciting.
Especially for us men that don't know how to express how we feel just yet and share our feelings. Breath work is the key, boys. I'm telling you. Our bodies hold so much, and utilizing the breath work brings it up and lets it go.
Yeah.
I honestly compare it to a year's worth of talk therapy. In 1 2-hour session of breath work, it's a year's worth of talk therapy.
Wow.
Unbelievable releases that I've experienced and my clients have as well.
See, and on that note, when you talk about a year's worth or more or whatever in one session, we've found an exceptionally amazing connection between therapies and those things that people do need as well.
Oh, yes.
And the energy work that we do complements it so well.
Mhm.
Because when you go to that therapy session, what do? You go home and it's stuck. Then what? Right?
Yep.
You either cry, you bottle it up, you don't know what to do.
Yep.
And so we bring in groups or private sessions to be able to help people release all that stuff.
Yep.
So it doesn't get stuck.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, it's like the best magic.
Yes.
I love it.
It's very much needed.
It is.
It's just a connection that that we need to form
Mhm.
here, because I still do talk therapy, and I
Mhm.
still do all of the spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
I do both because I
Yeah.
find that it's very much needed.
It is.
And then when you release everything, and then you go back to therapy, and the therapist looks at you and gives
It's
you
like,
that
wow, you
side
made
eye.
some progress.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Right?
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Mhm.
And so that's the best part about doing alternative health, is that it does go with everything else too.
Mhm.
And everything works so well. It's just getting people to realize that they mingle and knowing that they can work together to make them so much happier and so much better faster. Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
That's right.
Like whatever works for you. If you find that sound healing works for you, wonderful. If you find that Reiki works for you, wonderful. If you find that something else works for you, amazing. It's just
Mhm.
about finding your way.
That's right.
And so it's just try it all. We
That's
have
right.
so many things to offer here. It's try them all.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find your way.
That's right.
Yeah.
And everybody resonates with someone.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be here, but if you find someone on our team that can help you, absolutely start there and see where it goes.
Yep.
Don't limit yourself. Find what makes you happy.
Mhm.
So, well, thank you, Chris, for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and thank you so much for being part of our team and bringing forward healing in this space. This is beautiful. I'm excited to see what 2025 has to share.
Yes.
There's so much.
Yes.
Oh, I can't even. Yeah.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's hard to sleep because it's exciting. But our human bodies, they need rest and stuff, so we kind of have to listen to that.
Yeah.
So,
And thank you so much for
Yeah.
inviting me today on
Yes.
the podcast.
mhm.
It's a great experience. I love this, and
Good.
I can't wait to do it again.
We will. We
Thank
will.
you.
So if you're watching this and you have questions, or if you want to reach out to Chris or myself or any of our team, please do that. If you
Mhm.
have some topics that you're interested in learning about, maybe it's about breath work, maybe it's about sound healing, one of the things on our website, if it's like, what is that? Please reach out and we will do a podcast about it. Okay? Sound good?
Yes.
Love it.
Love it.
Okay, well, on that note, I'm going to attempt to move this without dropping it. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to figure out how to stop this thing. Have a good night, everybody.